So actually, Theodoric the Great was it was a nephew of the king of the Visigoths, Alaric II. And the problem is that when the Franks actually defeat the Visigoths, they are going to kill Alaric II. So they are also killing part of the family of Theodoric the Great over here. But he's going to defeat Odoacer. So over here, they were making a deal in which Odoacer and Theodoric were going to rule Italy together. But Theodoric is going to be crossing Odoacer. He's going to be betraying Odoacer, and during the dinner of celebration of this union, he's going to kill him. So this is the perfect image to remember what Theodoric is going to be doing to Odoacer, because first they are laughing, they are having a dinner celebrating their union, and then sas, he kills him. He kills Odoacer, and he instantly becomes the king of Italy. So he's going to have all of this in his power. But as I was telling you, he was also familiar of the Visigoths, and when the Franks killed Alaric II, then the next in line, the next king, was just a boy, and it was the nephew of Theodoric the Great. So Theodoric the Great took into his power the whole kingdom of the Goths in order to maintain the order, and this kingdom stayed united until he died. And he even got some territories out of the hand of the Burgundians, but they were really careful not to enter into conflict with Clovis, with the Franks, because even then they knew that they had to respect him, to respect them very much, because they were really powerful. So even if this kingdom seems really big, only this part was truly his. This part he was only taking care because the actual king was a boy. But as you can see, this century is going to be going from the Visigoths to the Ostrogoths to the Franks, but it is the actual Franks that are going to be the most important peoples. Why? Because as you're going to see, this big empire, this big kingdom of the Goths is not going to last. The only one that is actually going to last is going to be the one of the Franks. So now we have that. Two very important things that also happened. As I told you, we do not actually know if Arthur existed. We do not have proofs. There are more legends, but if he would have existed, it would have been in this century. And remember that he defeated the Saxons. And actually, the legend says that the leader of the Saxons was actually a son of Arthur's, that he had a son with a Saxon, and that son became the leader of the Saxons, and thus he had to fight his own son. He was king of the Britons, so he had to defeat his own son and to kill his own son, in order to defeat the Saxons and to remain to keep Britain free. So Arthur is going to be defeating the Saxons in this century, and also something very important according to what we just saw. Recared is going to declare the Visigoths to be Catholics. So remember that we said that this great kingdom of the Goths is going to be Arian, that they are not going to be Catholic, they are going to be Christians, but they are going to believe that Christ was a lesser God, that he wasn't a God in his own right, but that the Father only made him God for his mission and so on, that he was actually a man, that he was created, so he was not eternal, he was not a God. They were Arians, but finally Recared, the king of the Visigoths, is going to declare them to be Catholic. So by this time the Arianism is going to lose power, and most of Christians are just going to be Catholics. But something really bad in terms of something really bad is going to happen to Christianity in a very short time. We're about to see. So finally we have this great transformation. As I was telling you, this century, this 5th century, is going to be about going from this map that is going to show several barbaric kingdoms to these maps in which basically we have the Goths and the Franks, and over here the Vandals. Remember that the Vandals were living in this southern part, but when Balia the Visigoth pays these services to Rome and is going to recover these territories to Rome that were invaded by these barbaric peoples. The Vandals are going to run and they're going to take the northern part of Africa, and they're going to defeat both the Eastern and the Western empires, and they're going to remain and they're going to keep these territories. Well, going from this huge amount of kingdoms to this very few amount of kingdoms, because even remember that the Burgundians were a state in power of the Franks. So we may very well consider this pink part to be green, and these both red and purple parts to also be part of one great empire, because as you see over here, where is it? Sorry, over here, it is actually, it was one same territory for a long time. So basically this green and pink part and this red and purple part are the two great kingdoms that we're going to have, the Visigoths and the Ostrogoths, and finally the Franks. And we're going to have the Vandals over here. So suddenly the Eastern Empire, that is this half of the empire over here, from Greece to Minor Asia and Egypt and all this part, they are going to have a new emperor, and that emperor is going to be Justinianus. And Justinianus is going to recover northern Carthage and northern Africa from the hands of the Vandals. So they're going to finally recover their dignity after the Vandals defeated both the Eastern and the Western Empire. Justinian is going to take Carthage back, and he's also remember, this is their territory, this over here. He's also going to defeat the Ostrogoths. So Justinian is going to gain again power over the city of Rome and of Italy, because he's going to be defeating the Ostrogoths over here. He's going to be defeating the whole kingdom of Italy. So the Byzantine Empire, that is the city of Constantinople, basically it is the Eastern Empire of Rome. They are going to recover the northern part of Africa, and they're going to recover Italy. So as you can see here, they almost recover the whole empire. They are just missing Spain, that is in the hand of the Visigoths, and France, that is in the hands of the Franks. Gaul, that is in the hands of the Franks. So as you can see, Rome is still fighting to come back, but these two kingdoms are going to ensure their time, lasting their time in these territories. The Visigoths, that are going to lose their territory by the 8th century, and we're going to see it, and the Franks, that well, they are only going to be conquered by England for this period of time, and this famous war that was called the 100-Year Wars. But basically France is not going to disappear all the way up to our days, to present days. But the Byzantine Empire grew this much. They were almost able to recover the whole Roman Empire by the flag of the Eastern Empire, by the hand of Justinian. But, well, I am going to propose that then, if this is the case, if this is the last great transformation of the 6th century, we went from having all these many kingdoms to only having these two kingdoms, the kingdom of the Goths and the kingdom of the Franks. And then we're going to have the Byzantine Empire taking over the Visigoths, well, the Ostrogoths over here, and defeating the Vandals over here, and just leaving this small part of land to the Visigoths. And they're going, as I told you, they defeated the Suevians, so they are going to recover this part, but they are only going to be living in here. The Visigoths are just going to stay with this part, and then the Franks are going to remain having all these big territory over here in green and pink. So if this is the great transformation, going from these many kingdoms to only these two kingdoms of the Goths and of France, and all the way to this part in which the Ostrogoths are defeated, and we only have the Visigoths here and the Franks here, and the Byzantine Empire is going to recover all this territory, then I am proposing that the end of this 6th century is in 610. So the first by the end of the first decade of the 7th century, 7th century in terms of usual number counting and not in terms of history. This would be the end and the beginning of the 7th century in 610. Why? Because we have the start of Islam, and with Islam, this great Byzantine Empire is going to come to an end, and they're just going to stay with a small part over here in Constantinople. So, as this is the last transformation of the century, having this great Byzantine Empire and the end of the Byzantine Empire is going to come with Islam, then I'm going to propose that the end of this century comes with the birth of Islam. Once the Islam is born, then the Byzantine Empire has its days just running off. So this is going to be the summary of the 6th century. We're going to have that it starts, it depends if you follow the idea of the century ending when Romulus Augustus is defeated, or when Clovis starts the Frankish expansion, and it is going to be ending in 610 when Mohammed starts spreading the word of Islam. So it's going to last 122 years. It is a really long century. We have a lot of transformations coming from all these kingdoms to just these two kingdoms, the Visigothic kingdom and the Gothic kingdom and the Frankish kingdom, and all the way to the great Byzantine Empire taking over the Ostrogoths, just leaving the Visigoths and the Franks, and the Eastern Empire just retaking this huge amount of territory from the Vandals and also apart from the Visigoths, and defeating finally the Ostrogoths. The only ones that remained untouched were the Franks. So that was why I was telling you that the Franks were really important. So the main transformations are going to be coming from the barbaric kingdoms to the great Byzantine Empire, that is going to be almost again the whole empire. The final state in which things are going to exist in this century is going to be this great Byzantine Empire and also the Frankish kingdom. And it starts when Clovis the First is going to be declared king of the Franks, and is going to be defeating the last free territory of Rome in the hands of Syagrius. Then the Frank expansion towards the Alemanni and the Burgundians and the Visigoths, and when Theodoric the Great deposes Odoacer. So remember, they were celebrating that they were going to rule Italy together, and finally in that moment in the dinner, Theodoric the Great kills Odoacer. So also King Arthur supposedly in legend defeats Mordred, and Mordred is going to be his own Saxon son. So he's going to be defeating the Saxons, even if later the Saxons are going to be ruling England. Then the Visigoths are going to become Catholic, because remember that they were Arians. Justinian defeats the Vandals, so he's going to take all this northern part of Africa back. And finally, also Justinian defeats the Ostrogothic kingdom, and he's going to recover Italy, and also he's going to defeat the Visigoths here, and he's going to recover that part of Spain. They are almost going to recover the whole kingdom except for France and most of Spain. And finally, the century is going to end with the birth of Islam. So thank you very much, and please take into consideration these main transformations from several kingdoms to only having the Goths and the Franks, and then the Byzantine Empire. How the Goths were the most important group in the 5th century, and in the 6th century we have the Franks. How the Goths were Arians, and then they became Catholic, and then most of the world was Catholic, most of the Christian world, until Islam starts, and then Islam is going to be posing a great threat to the whole West and to Christianity itself. So thank you very much, girls and boys, and I will be hearing for your doubts.